What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Tomorrow. Today, I have a gear review on the Fytro boxing gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today I have a new brand and a new pair of gloves with the Fytro boxing gloves, and I'm excited for this review because whether they knew it or not, Fytro actually made channel history. I have not once reviewed two of the same model, only different versions of the hook and loop and lace up before, which is pretty cool. Hook and loop meaning Velcro, by the way, for those that don't know. Funny enough, this is a really off-topic thing, but Velcro is not, that's actually the company. That's not what it's called. They're actually called hook and loop straps, but that's a different story. But when it comes to these gloves, I'm really excited because these are actually the first gloves that I use outside of my surgery, and I've been using them right along, and they have been nothing but a pleasant surprise, and I was so happy when I got these gloves. I've been using them a lot, and it just, for me, this is a glove that proves that there's no excuse to have bad equipment out there. Fytro is a new brand, and they reached out to me, so these gloves were sent to me, and just like I tell you every time, just because something is sent to me does not mean I have any incentive. There's no payment for it. All it is a 100% straightforward, honest review, because at the end of the day, three things I don't like getting messed with, guys, like I tell you all the time, is my training, my health, and my money. Don't like when those things are messed with, and I want to make sure that you're covered in all those departments, and so does Fytro, and that's why they were adamant when they reached out to me. We are a new brand, and we really want you to critique these gloves as blunt, brutally honest as you can, so we know what we can improve on. And they've been keeping up with me right along too. As I've been using them, I explain, some of the things I like so far, I don't like, and they're like, yes, we've heard those things, we're going to change them and stuff. So that's awesome, which is great. The other thing that I like about this is there's so many brands out there that will really just kind of copy and paste what a lot of other brands do, slap their logo on it and call it a day. Now, initially, because so many brands reach out to me, and there are some brands I call scam brands, which are literally just a ringside glove with their logo slapped on it, or like a ring to cage glove with their logo slapped on it. And that's the nice thing about Fytro that I really have come to like about them, is that they are not that. They are actually a new brand. I believe they are based out of the UK, and they are trying their best to make their own unique quality products, which is awesome. That's why I've loved about these gloves so far. They are unique by themselves in the shape, design, and construction of the glove. Are there some similarities to some other gloves out there? Yes, but I love that they are unique to themselves. So it's always good to have that with gloves, because sometimes, if I'm honest, it's just boring to get the same old glove over and over with a different colorway or logo on it. That's not what we have here today. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the models I have today. First off, both gloves are in 16 ounces, and I believe you can get them from 8 to 18 ounces, I believe. Or I could be wrong in saying it might be 6 ounces, but I believe, we'll just say this for now, it goes 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16, 18 ounces is what you can go up to. I want to say that that is the highest you can go up to, maybe even 20, but you have all of your core three sizes, the 12, 14, and 16, so that's awesome, and it fits so well for all boxers, because there are a lot of boxing gyms out there that for someone my size would not be 16 ounces. They would want me to use 18 ounces. But in this case, 16 has worked just fine. And like I said, I have two different versions. I have the Velcro closer and the hook and loop closer, but don't worry, just because one is in red and one is in white and gold, you can get both colorways and both closures, which is awesome. So you have a lot of different options when it comes to these gloves, and they have some really cool colors as well. They have a solid blue, a solid black, which looks really cool. The solid black looks really cool, but I really like this cherry red. It really reflects off the camera well. And then on top of that too, you also have a really cool looking gold and green coloration. It's basically the white swaps with the green, and it looks really, really slick. There's also a white and red, which reminds me of the Power Rangers. In fact, the whole logo for some reason reminds me of the Power Rangers, and I don't know why, but that's a different story. So with that said, again, you have a bunch of different sizes. I believe we'll just safely say it goes 8 to 18. It could very possibly go 6 to 20, but I believe when I read it last, it was 8 to 18 ounces. You can get them in about 5 or 6 different colorways, and you can can get them in both hook and loop or Velcro and lace up, which is awesome. Now when we go into the look of the glove, and we'll talk about both here, you can see that we have the whole Velcro version being a solid red color, and it is that nice classic car cherry red, and for me it matches really well with a lot of other red colored gloves out there. This is like a classic, like a Reyes red classic. Doesn't have quite that shine as far as like a Reyes glove does, but at the same time the leather still shines very well, and it gives you that nice classic car look. I love that classic car cherry red. It's also nice, you can see all the natural grain marks going throughout the glove, although that has to do with the design as far as the leather construction, but it still looks cool. And then on the back you can see this is actually a curved F, but for me what I like is inside this square, this white square, it looks like a mountain. And I always like to think, you know, I like to climb mountains for goals and stuff, is what I tell all the kids I work with. Let's climb a mountain and make our goals. So I like how the F kind of has that mountain effect, but when you turn it this way you can see that we have the F going that way. I don't know if that was intentional. I didn't ask them. I hope they tell me after the fact. When we go over to the side, we can talk about it is again a solid red colored thumb. You even have a solid red thumb attachment there. We open up the palm, it's all red lining, and I believe even red stitching. Yes, everything is red stitching. Sometimes I have to double check. You have all those breathe holes that are going throughout there, and you have more red stitching down there, red piping on the side. You have your Fytro Sports, I believe it says, yes, Fytro Sports right there, and that's in a black and silver color in a cloth patch, and it says 16 ounces there. When we open up the glove, you can see that the wrist strap is also red, and you can see that the piping's red, the Velcro is black, and the interior lining, of course, is also black, along with that elastic strap here. Now the cool thing too, like I said, you have different colors, so you can see we also have the white coloration here, and the white actually eats the light pretty well, but the gold reflects really nice. And I always like white and gold as a colorway. I prefer black and gold just because that's colorations that our high school kind of had. It was brown and gold, but we had a lot of black and gold too. But white and gold always reminds me of like holy or royal colors, kind of like the Pope. And then we kind of go throughout here, you can see again the logos change. Instead of white, it's gold with a white background. We have a gold palm here with white piping, so it contrasts very well, and you also have the white inside thumb. So I like the design that it had, white piping and white laces as well, but the interior lining, of course, is black. Very rarely are you going to have a different colored interior lining. Does it matter? No, not at all. In fact, black hides dirt and mildew and stuff a lot easier. Now, when we go into the design of the glove, let's talk about the outer shell being made out of a very nice top grain leather. And remember, top grain is right underneath full grain. Full grain is basically they skin the animal and they keep it that way. They just shave off a few imperfections here or there and they make it smoothed out. That way you can tan it fine. Whereas top grain is they shave all imperfections off, so it's much easier to work with, but it doesn't really take the quality away from the leather that much, which is always a good thing. But you can see here, again, those natural grain marks that go throughout the leather here, which is nice. And it feels really good. It's very soft and supple leather. Both gloves here are very, very soft and supple. It's sometimes the different paint can make things feel more dense and cheaper gloves that you'll find, but I like that it didn't happen here, which tells me that the leather came from a pretty good retailer or someone that at least knows what they're doing when it comes to dyeing leather. Because sometimes if you ever use like cheap dyes and stuff, I remember dyeing socks for playing I think I played football for like 1 year. We dyed socks pink for breast cancer awareness, and those things were so hard and we could never use them again. Whereas when we tried it again with a more expensive dye, actually it worked a lot better and the process worked a lot better, which is nice on the leather here. So they both feel exactly the same, and it's super soft, and you actually have a good amount you can pull off here, and you can see that's actually a pretty thick hide and it moves very easily. What that does is it actually lets the padding relax on the inside of the glove. If you basically have tight leather the whole time, it feels like it's going to squish the padding down. It's like push it down on your bed a lot. It feels soft initially, but the more you push down on it, the more firm it feels once you get to the bottom, and that's basically what you get. But in this glove, it's very soft all the way around, and when you get out of the box, it feels this soft too. It doesn't really need that much of a break-in process on the outside. I've only cleaned it just to kind of see the reaction to the leather products I use, and it looks fine. It works fine with leather honey is what I use and everything like that. It also works fine when you go to wipe it off. The nice thing about the soft supple leather, it does soak in a little bit more but it's easier to clean because of how open it is, which is really nice. So you have really nice thick leather on the outside, very nice smelling leather too. It smells like a really good wallet, which I really like, so that's awesome. So when we talk about the padding, it says there's an extra layer of protection here, and when I fold that open, you can see that it breathes pretty well, and you can hear that it breathes well. Now, if I had to guess, because it doesn't really specify what type of padding it is online, I'd have to say it's at least a 3 or 5 layer molded foam type thing that we have going on here. So an open cell foam, basically meaning that it's able to breathe, kind of like your memory foam, stuff like that. Same type of thing that a lot of Japanese style gloves use. Only difference is with this glove is that it does have that nice curvature like some other Japanese gloves do, but look how flat the punch surface is. So it gives you that nice puncher's pop, which is really nice. So I put it in that cool pillow punchers hybrid because every time I've hit the bag, I don't necessarily feel like I'm, you know, getting damaged with my knuckles. I definitely feel like my knuckles are punching through and it feels really comfortable, but I also feel all that foam when you punch, because of the shape, creases in this way, like it's starting to hug my hand that way, which is awesome. So I'm able to really wail into the bag with these gloves, get a nice recoil, a nice pop. I get good natural feedback with that added knuckle protection. And what also makes that great with that knuckle protection is, again, how breathable the foam is itself. And again, it's a little thinner, the foam, compared to some other thicker Japanese style gloves out there. That's why I don't call this a Japanese style glove or like a winning clone, because it doesn't have that same design for me that some other gloves like that do. Most of those gloves are a little bit more rounded, and they also kind of have a maybe more shallow type finger compartment compared to what we have here. But with that said, when we go over to the side, to the thumb, that's where you kind of see more of that Japanese style thumb that's going on here. And it is a little bit curved in, but unlike most Japanese thumbs, it's actually fatter for me in the center instead of a consistent, you know, thin thumb here. The other thing about the wrist cuff too, we can talk about, and also you can tell it's that type of thumb because it's separate here. That split there basically means you can have more mobility with your thumb, and it's not too harshly attached either because of that thumb attachment. And then once we come to the wrist and the back of the hand, that padding that I was talking about earlier goes to the back of the hand, protects the top of your wrist and the top of your hand, your metacarpals and everything that go throughout here, because most people don't know your bones don't break outward, they break up like that, and it gives you that nice compression on the back. The next thing too with the wrist strap is that it's actually a pretty long and thick wrist strap too, and it snugs up very easily, which is what I love about this glove, is that the wrist support is excellent. Before I get to the wrist support, I'll do both the lace up and the Velcro here. When we come over to the palm, you can see all those breathe holes to allow you to breathe easily. And you know, for me, gloves always get hot regardless of what you're going to do, but the breathe holes do help the circulation on the inside of the glove. The grip bar is very, very comfortable, very soft. I'd say just about as soft as the padding you have here, so it's definitely one of those high density open cell foams. And then when we come down to the palm, you have a lot of really nice padding down here. Usually, of course, it's meant to counterbalance the weight, but at the end of the day here, you can see that it's very soft, very good for sparring too. If you're catching kicks and punches, it actually takes a lot of the blows off of your arms and allows you to train a lot easier. The interior lining is a really nice poly cotton, and it feels really soft on your hand, and it's also very padded, so you have a lot of padding, as you can see here, inside of the glove itself that also goes to the back. Now, talking about the differences between the Velcro and the lace up, for one, when I put my hand on the inside, very easy to go in, a lot of room on the interior hand compartment, really big hand compartment, which is what I love as a bigger guy. The one thing I will say that was a bit of a drawback for me is that it's a longer finger compartment, but towards the pointer finger and the pinkies, it feels like the stitching is too close, and it was on both of those gloves, so I kind of have to push my pinkies down, and it doesn't really feel like I'm able to keep my fingers in all the time. So sometimes my fingers fall out here, and one thing that's cool about the grip bar, I don't know if you guys knew this, you can actually just grab the grip bar if that ever happens, and you can punch that way, and it really makes no big difference at all. Some people actually prefer that. I found that out over the last few years having the channel, but that's a cool part. But sometimes I find myself doing this, keeping the glove on, if I'm not, you know, if I'm like catching and stuff like that. But for me, it's just that pointer finger is what's not gripping tight enough, which I don't like. But the positive side is we have that elastic band that keeps us on pretty good, and what helps a lot too is this wrist strap is locked on. It is a solid wrist strap. What's nice is I can't get underneath this very easily or pull that off. It doesn't slide off, and it stays on my wrist very well, and it actually stops that shock really easily because, again, I have all that nice padding going on the back of my hand, and I also have this really nice supportive wrist strap here. It feels really comfortable. I like that I'm able to wrap my hands up big if I need to, especially what's nice about that is since the padding's a little thinner for some, and for me, I do give it that nice puncher pillow hybrid thing. I'm able to make really solid impact. Feel like it's a nice line between like a Mexican puncher / Japanese style glove, but I'm able to wrap my hands up huge in case I maybe have softer hands and want to try the gloves out, but they are very protective and they are very comfortable. When I take them off here, not only is the wrist strap good here, but obviously we have the lace ups here that we can talk about, and they have a shorter composition too. You'll notice about this glove. It's definitely a shorter composition boxing glove. Most boxing gloves are a little bit bigger than this, which is why I love these for MMA, and I think they'd work pretty good for Muay Thai too, because if you were able to see, I open and close my hands very easily. But you have a few, like 1 or 2 less lace tracks here, which is nice because sometimes I don't think you need as many as other brands do. And when we go ahead and just, the eyelids smooth out like butter, which is great, and they have really long eyelids too, not eyelids, they have really long laces, and for me, having a shorter glove, I don't have to open the whole thing up, which is awesome, and even here slides in perfectly. But again, we have that finger compartment, that grip area, which is a little kind of too tight just for the tips of the fingers. It's comfortable as far as how it feels on your skin, but it is a little annoying to make that grip towards the tip. I wish maybe they cut down a little bit more there, but besides that, it's a very comfortable fit. When we go ahead and tighten that up here, the one thing I will say about this glove too, if you are a stickler on this, with the lace track that you have underneath here in the wrist cuff, right, my wrist actually does not line up here, and it could just be my body. My wrist is not here, my wrist is actually kind of here on the glove. See, if we put it here, so my fingers are here, you put it here, you can see where my wrist actually lines up is right here. So you kind of have to do it, you really don't have to, but if you were a stickler on this, some people would pinch the glove, meaning that they would come here, cut it down across, and then tie it there. I'm telling you that the wrist support is good enough here. Plus, if you wrap your hands up fine, the glove's shock absorption is going to do enough to really stop any wrist pain or problems. But besides that, it fits very well. It opens and closes very easily. Like I said, my fingers kind of do fall back a little bit. Some gloves just do that for me. And like I said, I have short fingers, so it very well could be an anatomical thing as far as how I'm built. But that is something that I've noticed in both gloves. But it's a very simple fix. Every now and again, I just kind of re-grip, or I'll do this. You know, it's a really easy fix. Very comfortable glove, has tons of room on the inside, but let's go ahead and do the bag work so you can get a better idea. So as you guys know, I really like puncher's gloves and gloves that have that very nice in-between feel, that I get that nice solid protection from the foam that's over those knuckles, and it has that awesome unique pillow punchers hybrid feel. So I'm really able to wail into the bag as hard as I want. I got really good clinch here, as you can see. I can't knee with my right knee quite yet. It's only 3 months post-op, but still, I'm able to wail into the bag, and I'm able to let my hands go as fast and as hard as I want with really no repercussions of any type of wrist damage. The wrist strap cinches up very well, keeping my fist closed. My fingers don't creep out of it. My fingers do sometimes creep out of the grip bar area, but overall, these gloves are just really fun to hit the bags with. I really think they're awesome to spar with as well. I'm able to hit as hard as I want, have awesome support, and still get really great, nice puncher's feedback. So overall, I have really enjoyed using these gloves, and I think you will too. So when it comes to the look of all the Fytro gloves, what I like is the nice shine that they have. It has that classic standard color wheel type design to it, and I really love that. The logo stands out really well too, and I think people are going to wonder what brand you're looking at when it comes to that logo. They look really nice, that nice classic red color that you're always going to want in boxing, and I think this glove looks awesome. Alright folks, so my final verdict here for the Fytro boxing gloves is, especially ever since my surgery, I've been using these a lot. I've really grown fond of these gloves. Are they going to be in my top 10 favorites of all time? Unfortunately for Fytro, no. But are they a solid choice? Yes. I have really enjoyed these compared to a lot of other gloves over the last few years because they do have some of their own unique qualities, and compared to some other gloves in this price range, they stand out as unique, which is awesome. For me, there are some competitors out there which will be dangerous for Fytro, especially for the price point that they are going to have for these gloves, which we'll talk about in a second. But what's nice about these is that the quality is very high. I can tell that they're very durable. They feel broken in right off the jump, and everything about them just screams good. It's an overall good glove, which is what I love about the glove so far. There's not a whole lot to take away from it, I guess, compared to some other gloves out there. For me, starting with the positives of the glove. For one, we can talk about the leather being very high quality. When I got these out of the box, it did smell like a very nice, good wallet that came out of the box. Filled my room. I have a very small room here that I shoot in that just filled the room with that nice leather smell. The leather is very soft and supple, which is comfortable, and on top of it, it allows the foam on the inside to breathe, and the foam is very soft, which is awesome. It also protects your knuckles very well, but the one comment that I got from my sparring partners is that it was forgiving on them too. These gloves, sometimes that really does matter, guys. It really does matter. If it's forgiving on your sparring partner, it's forgiving on your hands, it's a good overall glove. For me, this is a glove that I would honestly love to see like a pretty high-level amateur boxer use because of how soft and plush they are. They're very safe to spar in, and you can still go hit the bags and pads with them. But honestly, if I were to pick like a good sparring glove for an amateur boxing club, this would be one of my go-to favorites, especially the lace-up version. I've really enjoyed it. I think compared to some other gloves out there, you know, like your ring sides and your titles, these blow those out of the water, obviously, because it is a much better quality glove compared to those. But the only drawback, besides the comfortability and besides how they fit, how they feel, you're having all the room in the world for hand wraps. But besides that, the only thing that I can see people pulling the trigger on these gloves for is the price. You got $150 for these gloves, which for the materials and the craft that you're getting with it, that fits, right? Usually that fits. There are some gloves out there that get their materials much cheaper, and maybe Fytro is a new company and just simply can't do that yet. But they go for about $150. Now, I think right now they're like 14 to 18% on sale, which means I think they go for about $125 to $130. But even around that price point, I think they could struggle compared to some other people out there, because I think about some other brands that maybe aren't as well known like Fytro that still have a lot of the cult following that would spend the money. I think of brands like Sabas, which is an unsung hero in the boxing. I have not reviewed enough of their stuff either. Sabas, I think, you know, HK USA, I'm looking at a brand right there. Triumph United that I need to review. I think of some Adidas models that go for that price range. I think of Infinitude is another brand that has price range like that. I think Combat Corner. I'm just looking at brands. I'm seeing Rev Gear, Fairtex, you know, Top Boxer, brands like this, right? And those are just a few that go around that same price, if not cheaper. So that's where you would kind of run into it. Now, you can always, if you're Fytro, make the argument, well, our glove is simply better quality, but you're gonna have to prove that to people by having more people get the equipment. You know, that's basically what it comes down to. As far as what I think about it, I think this glove is incredibly comparable to all of those brands that I just mentioned. That's, again, why I say it's very difficult to find gloves that just aren't good anymore, because these gloves are very solid. But again, that $150 price range is going to be difficult for Fytro and difficult for some that, you know, am I going to pay another $50 and get a pair of Reyes at this point? Or am I going to get $20 less or more than $20 less and get a pair of Top Boxers? Am I going to get Combat Corners, again, looking down there? Or am I going to get Adidas? Am I going to get, you know, what's another brand I can look at again? You know, Hayabusa. Maybe I'll go with a brand that most people know. That's going to be the drawback for Fytro, and I'm just being honest on that. But I will say it is a very solid glove, and I have enjoyed using it, especially for the protective qualities and just the overall fun I've had with these gloves. It's very refreshing not to have to, mess with it all the time. It fits good right off the jump, and that's the one thing compared to some of those other brands that have a very long break-in period, or they're definitely mass-produced, and you can tell because not each pair of gloves is made the same, whereas these gloves feel very, very nice. They feel very uniform. Both gloves feel very, very uniform, and they feel very well made. I would definitely give them, especially if you're going to use them every day and beat the crap out of these things, I would definitely say a good 2 to 3 year shelf life for these if you're going to use them for bags and pads, as long as sparring too. But I think if you're going to use these as just a solid sparring glove, that would be a very good option for you too, especially in boxing. But MMA guys, I think, would really like this glove too because of the fit and feel of it and how you're able to get a really solid clinch and really good grips with this glove. I've really enjoyed it in that aspect. So if I were to give it a rating, and now that we're really doing the tier system a lot, I'm still going to do my out of 10 system, but the out of 10 is more like that subjective thing, whereas a tier, I think it's so easy to just say I slot it here. For me, I say that this is because of the overall competition that they have. I give this glove a solid 8 out of 10. I put it in the B tier. It is a good glove. It has really good qualities for everybody, and I do think that it would work really good for everybody. Now, I don't say a great glove because that's such a subjective thing, I guess, but I wouldn't say great because there are so many options around there for the same price that have similar qualities to them. I think if these sold for $100, I would refer these over a lot of other gloves in that model, but it would also be, what fits who. I think it's a very good pillow/puncher's hybrid. I think they're very easy to clean. I think they feel awesome, and I think overall they are just a fun experience to punch with, which is great, both sparring and hitting the bags. It's a pretty balanced glove too, though I talked about earlier, it is a little bit more top heavy, but it's one of those top heavy gloves where the Velcro actually secures your wrist very well, and it's one of the few situations where I would dare say the Velcro actually works better than the lace up as far as wrist support goes. But again, you wrap your hands for a reason, to protect the bones, ligaments, veins, arteries, and blood vessels in your hands. That's the whole point behind those. I think this glove does an excellent job of protecting you, your sparring partners as well, and of course that's why I would love these for an amateur boxing club that have like the red and blue ones, but they have a bunch of different options too. So if you have maybe kids that are getting into boxing and you want a really nice solid quality glove, they have 6 and 8 ounce gloves out there. I think 8 is their smallest. I still could be wrong, but 8 I believe is their smallest. You can always go on their website as well. The other drawback too, I would say, about Fytro is that they are sold, but they do take a while because I believe they come from the UK. Might be about 2 weeks before you see it in the mail, but you can also buy it not only off their website, but you can buy it, I believe, off their Instagram page, and they have an eBay page as well. Tells me that I always wish that stage well with brands, because that eBay stage can be rough. Remember, Top Boxer was on eBay for a while. Even Grant still has an eBay shop, which is crazy. So, but at the end of the day, for me, solid glove. I think it's a good glove that works for everybody, and I think everyone would enjoy using it. But so much competition at that level. That's my only drawback. Other than that, it's very comfortable. The fingertips, like I said, maybe just make it a little bit wider. Don't make the stitching so tight up there. But other than that, everything's very comfortable. Very easy glove to clean. Very easy glove to maintain. Very durable. Made of very high quality products for that price point, which is awesome. So guys, with that said, if you had any questions about the Fytro boxing gloves, please comment below. And like I said, they have the coolest customer service on the planet. I have enjoyed working with them extensively over the last few months, and I'm just excited to see where they go from here. I think the sky's the limit for a brand like Fytro. I hope they start making MMA stuff too. I'd love to try their stuff out there. I know they have shin pads, chest guards, headgear, and they are starting to expand more. As a new brand, I think it would be cool to see this brand start to take off a bit more. I really have thoroughly enjoyed using these gloves. So, with that said, guys, thank you again for watching this video. If you have any questions or what you want me to review next, put it in the comment section below. More videos coming out very soon. Started a new job over the last couple weeks, and it has been a nightmare. The month of December and November have been nuts trying to finish out everything else from my last job and this job at the same time. So I'm basically pulling like 12 to 16-hour days. At least I get paid for it, right? But that's besides the point. Like and subscribe. Share this with your friends if they're looking for a new pair of gloves, especially at this price point. And always ask questions. Reach out to me on the social media media pages. I always love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for choosing your source for combat sports. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.